Well, hello to all my Autobots, My Little Ponies, and G.I. Joes. Welcome to the Gentleman's Chat. I'm your host, Rehash, and I am the stirrer of chaos. And today we'll be continuing our coverage of the Beast Tamer who was kicked out of the S-ranked party. Where we last left off, Lox and Lucky had just retrieved the party that had betrayed him, and now they're going back to the guild in order for them to receive their punishments for literally stabbing him in the chest and leaving him to die. One can only imagine the looks of despair on their faces when their punishment is handed out. Let's not keep ourselves waiting now. This is the Beastmaster that was kicked out of the S-rank party. God, that's a mouthful. The chapter begins with Lox and Lucky making their way back to the guild with the white mage in tow. Locke goes in by himself only to see that the guild receptionist is arguing with Lox's former party, as well as the hero, claiming that they did nothing wrong and that this is all a misunderstanding. The moment they see Lox, they confront him, saying that it's bad to go around saying false accusations about such a serious crime, and the fact that he should be ashamed for trying to ruin the hero's reputation for simply being kicked out of the S-rank party. They demand to see proof of any of his accusations, because guess what? They don't want to pay or have consequences to their actions. Oh, these types of people are the worst. You're the ones who kicked him out. You're the ones who betrayed him. You're the ones who literally left him to die. And you're the ones who stabbed him in the chest. And he went to the effort of saving your asses. The least you could do for him is simply admit your fault and suffer the consequences of your actions. But no, we have to be children about this. Well, Lox wastes no time in grabbing the hero's sword and pointing it at his broken chest piece, showing that it's an exact match. That is definitely circumstantial evidence, but unfortunately, that's not concrete. He could have gotten that dent anywhere, even though it is a perfect match and it's highly suspicious. Lox then presents evidence B, a witness, as he brings forth the unconscious body of the white mage. The fire mage, believing that it's her friend's corpse, runs to her immediately and begs for forgiveness, while the hero taunts, "Oh, all you did was present a dead body, that's not actual evidence," until they wake her up. Yeah, the moment our little white mage comes back to life, she immediately sees the hero and calls him out for leaving her behind and trying to attempted murder her, which only more solidifies the case. With so much evidence being thrown against him, the hero's credibility is getting lesser and lesser. And now, even the guildmaster puts him in his place and sets him into a corner. It's time for justice to prevail.
Oh, the tears of unfathomable sadness. Yummy.
Well, we do a hard cut to the gladiator, who approaches Lox, and then, in a surprising move, gets on his hands and knees and begs Lox's forgiveness, stating that he had no part in the killing and only had time to run away and didn't think of the consequences of his actions. He begged Lox to rejoin his party so they could put all this behind them and continue as an S-rank. But Lox closes his eyes and says, "You already knew he was going to attack long before he did, didn't you?" The gladiator asks, "What do you mean?" But Lox states some points that suggests that the gladiator knew about Kid and he knew that they were going to kill him. So this was all premeditated, planned murder. That's when the gladiator snapped, saying that's not true and you shouldn't think so high and mighty because you're not worthy of being an S-rank party member. But that's when the guild receptionist steps in and says, "No, you got it backwards. He's the only member of your party that was worthy of being S-rank. The rest of you are C-rank at best. And if Lox were to pair up with even a E-rank adventurer, then they would go up to S-rank immediately because of just how useful his skill is." The gladiator says that's a bunch of bullshit and challenges Lox to a match to see if the statement is true. And if Lux wins, then they'll accept the demotion whenever punishment. But if they win, then that would prove that they are worthy of being X rank. Lux tries to back out of this, but it's actually the receptionist who pushes it forward, saying that there will now be a match between Lux and his former party, with these conditions in mind. After all, if they truly are S rank, then any mission that they throw at them should be simple. And if what their statement is true, then they should be able to handle it without Lux. And of course, this also means that they could get out of their punishment scot-free if they prove themselves worthy. Not the direction I envision this going, but it makes things more interesting in the long run. After all, why just simply punish them for their crimes when you can humiliate them on top of it and then punish them? Oh, we're going to bring them through the ringer! Well, we do a little bit of a hard cut back to the hero, where the guild receptionist says that not only are they going to charge him for this crime, but they're also going to be doing research into all the crimes he's done previously. The hero believes that nothing will come of it because they're beyond the statute of limitations, and of course he's got the king's support behind his back. But that's when a mysterious individual reveals himself. This random guy apparently was part of another party that the hero had joined. But things ended just the same way, if not worse. He tried to tell his story to everyone, but no one believed him because he was the hero. And of course he used government connections to cover up his crimes. So our man was left completely helpless. But now that there's actual evidence, he feels that he could come out and voice his opinions once more to finally seek justice for his old party. And make the hero suffer for it. With that, even with his hero connections, the hero has no place. He has no way out. He's cornered. Everyone's against him, so the hero does the only thing that he can at this point. Kill everyone around him and try to escape. And, just for a fair point, he takes a hostage. 'Cause that's going to help with your image in the long run. You know, with the way this hero acts and behaves in any given situation, it does make one wonder, how does one get into a position like this to begin with? Who hired him as the hero? Who thought that this serial killer would be perfect hero material? I mean, I would love to believe that he was somewhat honorable to begin with, but then slowly fell to the power of being the hero and all the prestige. But until we get a backstory, all I can assume is that he's just the spawn of Satan, pretending to be an angel. And now that the little sociopath's mask has been removed, he's free to go about his killing tendencies all he desires. Well, Hero Kid tries to flee with his hostage, and threatens to kill her if they try to pursue. They all chase after him, but they don't get too far, before they see Lucky had not only rescued the hostage, but also beat the shit out of the hero. And he acts as the goodest of boys. And just like that, the sausage business is going out of business, because I am buying all of them for the goodest of boy right here. So the next chapter begins with Kid being arrested and taken to jail, and Lucky acting smug for doing the deed. But unfortunately, Lux and Lucky's problems aren't over, as his old party comes back. He returns the luggage that they left him with, and he is about to take his leave. But the fire mage stops him in order to apologize again. I guess there is some redemption for her, but again, I'm not gonna forgive slapping him for taking the safer route. So, no forgiveness for you. But we then move on to the gladiator, who says that this whole mess caused a whole lot of trouble, and decides, why not just team up back with us, and we can forget this whole quest test thing, and we can let bygones be bygones. But Lux is actually smart, and tells him, no, I can't work with you because I can't physically trust you, which enrages the gladiator. But the white mage doesn't seem to be bothered by it, as she believes that she's going to team up with Lox, because both of them technically were betrayed. But Lox informs her that while yes, they were both betrayed, she also completely ditched and abandoned him when the chips were down, so he's not partnering with her either. And then the party gets into a massive argument with themselves, calling each other out for their misdeeds. But it seems that Fire Mage is the only one on Locke's level, realizing that it doesn't matter what went down. They were the ones at fault. They're the ones who treated him poorly, and they're the ones who left him to die. So of course things are not going to go back on to the way things were. And then they go into an awkward silence until the receptionist comes up. Anybody else getting mixed signals from the gladiator? It's as if he's walking the razor's edge between believing everything that everyone says about Lox and still living in denial. Methinks that his confidence isn't as great as what he would like us to believe. So the guild receptionist returns with the terms of their little challenge. The challenge being a simple fetch quest. Gather materials, bring it back to the guild, and then the job is done. First one to do it and succeed wins. The gladiator seems to be thrilled by it, and thinks it's going to be easy, until he reads the terms. It's a lot of material, and it's a C-level request, possibly even B-level. He tries to protest this, but the guild receptionist says, "Oh, if you're an S-rank party, then a C-rank quest should be no problem, right?" Oh, she set them up. Oh, even worse than that. Apparently, the specifics of the request are things that, well, every one of the old party has a bit of a phobia for. Bugs, frogs, and other such things. Oh, she's setting them up so hard. Now, don't get me wrong here, people. I love a good rigged challenge. A good old bit of tampering always brings a smile to my face. But I do want things to at least be fair for the other party. Specifically requesting things and items that you know for a fact that the team you're rooting against has phobias for does seem a little bit one-sided and unfair. But I'm going to choose to ignore that criticism for the most part, because this team absolutely deserves it, and an S-rank party needs to be ready for any type of request regardless of phobias. Well, after that, there is still the problem that Locke doesn't have a party, so the guild receptionist, who also acts as the vice advisor of the guild, takes him in order to go and recruit some E-rank adventurers, ones that work directly under the guild. Locke is a little nervous about meeting just some anyone, but the receptionist assures him that she has the perfect person in mind to team up with him and be a party. So they take him into a large guild arena, where we meet an elf girl. A girl named Shannon. He's a little bit shocked that it's an elf, but then he notices the collar around her neck. Indeed, Shion is a slave who works in the Adventurers Guild. Really? A slave? That's pretty fucked up. Yes, apparently Shannon the elf is a slave girl. She was owned by several people who've all died under various circumstances. Her last owner was indebted to the guild, and because he died before he could pay back the debt, they ended up having her as one of their property. And so she gets leased out to anyone that the guild deems necessary, in this case, our boy Lox. However, Shannon herself introduces herself as the goddess of death, and says if he doesn't want to die, then he better just avoid her at all costs. Lox says, "Nah, I think I'm still gonna take you," which infuriates Shannon even more, pointing her wooden sword at him, claiming that if you can't dodge that, then you shouldn't partner with me. But then Lox says, "Well, what if I chose not to avoid the strike, like a baller?" Which only pisses off Shannon even more. She tries to ask, "Do you really want to die that badly?" Apparently, she believes herself is under some kind of weird curse of death, and she's just trying to look out for him because she's sick of seeing people die. Oh, that's so sad. But Locke still doesn't back down, because he will have her as his little partner, owner, slave contract. I'm not sure about the relationship between the two. Oh, let's just call it what it is. Future harem member number 1. So the two make a wager. The winner of the fight gets their way. And so they begin a duel. Xion strikes with all of her ferocity, but even with all of her strength and being an elf, she's still only an E-rank adventurer. And our boy, for all of his weirdness, is still an S-rank. So even in a single one-on-one combat against a swordswoman, he's still the superior. So he defeats her pretty easily. But our girl isn't done. If swords can't do it, she will do hand-to-hand, fisticuffs. But the result is still the same. No matter how strong she is, he is an S rank, she is an E. So she's defeated once more. But the poor girl still refuses to give up, saying that his life is on the line, and she's not going to end up with him dying by her hands, even if it's not her fault. So she's not going to let him win. No matter what, she can't afford to lose. Locke recognizes the seriousness in her eyes, and decides it's time to pull out the big gun. And when I say big gun, I mean the big one. Here comes Lucky, who lets out such a terrifying roar that it scares even the birds in the highest sky. And as that bird, poor thing, falls to the ground as collateral damage, Shannon is in awe that this little beast tamer has the power of one of the most powerful beasts to ever walk the earth under his command. And that was these chapters this time, unfortunately. Big takeaways. Kid is finally being arrested and being punished for his crimes. As for Locke's original party, their punishment still remains moot. Locke still needs to show off just how much better he is without his old party before the punishment for them can be absolutely set in stone. Now, as far as the girls go, I don't think either of them are terribly bad, though one of them is a little bit egotistical, but it seems that the Gladiator is the only one who's desperately trying to one-up Locke at this point. Also, the little bit of mischief going on with the guild receptionist is always a fun sight to behold. But the big takeaway of the last chapter was the introduction of the new character, Shannon, or Xion, or whatever her name is. I'm going to say either or because I don't know the pronunciation. A elf girl who's a slave and everyone who's owned her has died. Yeah, I'm not so certain that that's a coincidence, but clearly she's the first girl of our boy's harem. If it wasn't the bunny receptionist, it's going to be her. But what makes this elf girl interesting is the fact that this weird phenomenon that keeps happening around her. Is it a curse? Is it a sickness? Is it coincidence? Don't know. Can't wait to find out in the next chapter and see her reaction to the power that is Lucky the Fenrir. But until then, I'm Rehash, the stirrer of chaos, and this has been a gentleman's chat. See you all next time.